The year 69 AD was a big turning point in Roman history. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a tumultuous period that would see the rise and fall of multiple leaders in quick succession. We call it the Year of the Four Emperors. This year was characterized by rapid changes in leadership, each new emperor bringing his own set of challenges and policies. It was a time of trouble, a civil war that shook the Roman Empire to its core. The stability that Rome had enjoyed for so long was now a distant memory, replaced by chaos and uncertainty. This chaos started with the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, a family that ruled Rome for nearly 100 years. The dynasty had produced some of Rome's most famous and infamous leaders, from Augustus to Nero. Their last emperor was Nero, a famous but also controversial leader. Nero's reign is often remembered for its extravagance and tyranny, a stark contrast to the more stable rule of his predecessors. Nero's time as emperor started well, with promises of reform and prosperity. However, it quickly became a time of harsh rule and wasteful spending. His early popularity waned as his actions became more erratic and self-indulgent. He lived it up, indulging in luxury and excess, and he was cruel to anyone who disagreed with him. His lavish lifestyle and brutal tactics alienated many, including those in positions of power. This made the important people in Rome and the regular people angry. The Senate, the military, and the common citizens all grew increasingly discontented with Nero's rule. The empire, once strong and steady, was about to fall apart. The cracks in the foundation of Roman society were becoming more apparent, and the once unshakable empire was now teetering on the brink of collapse. In 68 AD, everyone got fed up. The dissatisfaction reached a boiling point, leading to widespread rebellion. The governors in various provinces saw an opportunity to challenge Nero's authority. Governors in Gaul and Spain rebelled, and their armies joined them. These rebellions were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger movement against Nero's oppressive regime. Nero, facing this huge rebellion, lost his friends and was condemned by the Senate. The very institution that had once supported him now turned against him, sealing his fate. He killed himself, ending the Julio-Claudian dynasty quickly and sadly. Nero's death marked the end of an era, but it also plunged Rome into further chaos. But Nero's death didn't stop the trouble. Instead, it created a power vacuum that led to even more instability and conflict. Instead, it started a crazy time, a year with 4 different emperors, one after the other, in a whirlwind of violence and scheming. Each new leader tried to assert control, but none could maintain it for long. With no one next in line, the empire fell into a big power struggle. The lack of a clear successor led to fierce competition among Rome's elite, each faction vying for supremacy. The Roman armies, once protectors of Rome, became tools for anyone who wanted power. These military forces, loyal to their commanders rather than the state, played a crucial role in the ensuing conflicts. It was going to be a chaotic year. The Year of the Four Emperors. This period of instability would test the resilience of the Roman Empire and set the stage for future transformations. In all this mess, Servius Sulpicius Galba stepped up. The Roman Empire was in chaos, and the people were desperate for a leader who could restore order and stability. Galba, with his reputation as a seasoned general and a respected governor, seemed like the perfect candidate to take on this monumental task. He was the governor of Hispania Tarraconensis, a skilled general and an important Roman. His experience in military and governance made him a beacon of hope for many who were tired of the erratic rule of Nero. Galba offered stability and experience when everyone needed it most. His promise to restore the old ways and bring back the glory of Rome resonated with the Senate and the people alike. He promised to fix things and bring back order, and people were tired of Nero, so they listened. Nero's reign had been marked by extravagance and tyranny, and the populace was eager for a change. The Senate, wanting their power back, quickly made him emperor. They saw in Galba a chance to reassert their influence and restore the Republic's values. For a short time, things seemed okay again. The streets of Rome were calm, and there was a sense of hope in the air. People believed that Galba could indeed bring about the much-needed change, but Galba didn't last long. His reign, though promising at first, quickly began to unravel. He was old, strict, and didn't make friends easily. His rigid approach and inability to connect with key figures in the empire made it difficult for him to maintain support. He couldn't win over the Praetorian Guard, the emperor's special bodyguards. These elite soldiers were crucial for any emperor's survival, and Galba's failure to secure their loyalty was a fatal mistake. These guys were important if you wanted to stay in power in Rome. Without their support, an emperor's reign was always on shaky ground. Galba made a big mistake when he didn't give them the big bonuses they were promised. This decision not only angered the Praetorian Guard, but also made him appear weak and unreliable. Just months after becoming emperor, Galba's power started to fall apart. The initial hope and stability he brought began to crumble as his enemies grew bolder. His rivals saw he was weak and started planning against him. The political landscape of Rome was treacherous, and Galba's inability to navigate it effectively sealed his fate. One of these rivals was Marcus Salvius Otho, a rich and power-hungry senator and a close friend of Nero. Otho had his own ambitions and saw an opportunity to seize power. Otho was clever and used bribes to get the Praetorian Guard on his side. He knew that without their support, his bid for power would fail. This sealed Galba's fate. The betrayal by the Praetorian Guard was the final blow to his short-lived reign. The old emperor, betrayed by his own guards, was killed on the streets of Rome. His death was a stark reminder of the brutal and unforgiving nature of Roman politics. His short reign ended because of the very instability he tried to fix. The chaos and power struggles that plagued Rome were too great for even a seasoned leader like Galba to overcome. Galba's death showed how dangerous it was to be emperor after Nero. The empire was a powder keg, and any misstep could lead to a swift and violent end. After Galba died, Otho took over. People weren't sure what to think. He had the Praetorian Guard on his side, which was good, but his power wasn't strong. In the north, a new challenger appeared, a powerful enemy who would soon test Otho. Aulus Vitellius, the governor of Germania Inferior, also said he was emperor. He had powerful, loyal armies. These tough soldiers were a big threat to Otho. The threat of civil war, which had gone away for a bit when Galba became emperor, was back. The empire might fall into even more chaos. Otho knew Vitellius's armies were dangerous, so he got ready for war. He gathered his own soldiers and marched north to fight. The battle would be quick and brutal. Vitellius wasn't just sitting around, he was a man of action, always plotting his next move. He knew that in the chaotic world of Roman politics, standing still was not an option. He had the Rhine legions, some of Rome's best fighters, on his side. These were not just any soldiers, they were battle-hardened veterans, known for their discipline and ferocity in combat. These soldiers, driven by the promise of treasure and glory, marched south to Rome. Their journey was long and arduous, but their spirits were high, fueled by dreams of riches and honor. Vitellius loved to party, and he had big feasts and celebrations along the way. These weren't just simple gatherings, they were grand spectacles showcasing his wealth and power to both his allies and enemies. But he wasn't a very disciplined military leader. His lack of focus and strategic planning often put his forces at a disadvantage, despite their strength and experience. The two armies fought at Bedriacum, a small village in northern Italy. This location, though seemingly insignificant, became the stage for a pivotal clash that would shape the future of the empire. The First Battle of Bedriacum was a nasty fight. Blood and chaos reigned as both sides fought fiercely, each determined to claim victory and control over Rome. Otho's army fought well at first, showing remarkable courage and skill, but despite their initial success, they couldn't hold their ground against the relentless assault. The Rhine legions, tough from years of fighting, were too strong. Their experience and tenacity proved to be the deciding factors, overwhelming Otho's forces. Otho, knowing he would lose, killed himself rather than see his army destroyed and the empire fall into more chaos. His suicide was a tragic end to a desperate struggle, a final act of defiance and honor. His suicide, an act of honor, didn't fix the empire's problems. Vitellius marched to Rome, confident in his victory but unaware of the challenges that lay ahead. The Senate, wanting to avoid more fighting, made him emperor. They hoped that his rule would bring stability, but the scars of battle were still fresh, and the empire was far from healed. But his win wasn't a good one. It was a hollow victory, marred by the bloodshed and turmoil that had brought him to power. He was emperor, but the empire was weaker because of the fighting. The cost of his rise to power was high, leaving the Roman Empire fractured and vulnerable. While Vitellius enjoyed his new power, trouble was brewing in the east. Titus Flavius Vespasianus, or Vespasian, a skilled general, was fighting the Jewish rebellion in Judea. Vespasian wasn't a rich Roman. He came from a simple family and became powerful because he was a good soldier and loyal to Rome. He was a hero in Britain and Germania, earning respect from his soldiers and the Roman people. Vespasian heard about Nero's death and the trouble in Rome while he was fighting in Judea. He saw a chance to take power. But unlike Galba, Otho, and Vitellius, he was careful. He teamed up with Gaius Licinius Mucianus, the governor of Syria, a smart politician. They joined forces and got ready to fight Vitellius. Vespasian, a skilled general, marched on Rome to confront Vitellius. His smart moves and strong leadership set him up to become emperor, ending a crazy year known as the Year of the Four Emperors. With loyal soldiers and the support of a powerful ally named Mucianus, Vespasian's army clashed with Vitellius's troops. Imagine the streets of Rome turning into a giant battlefield. The noise of swords and shouts filled the air. The people of Rome, tired of all the fighting, watched this final showdown. Vespasian won quickly and completely. Vitellius, who had been drunk with power, was left alone and defeated. His time as emperor was over as fast as it began, leaving the throne empty for a real leader. As Vespasian entered Rome, the people watched with mixed feelings. They'd seen emperors come and go, and the damage from the civil war was still fresh. But Vespasian, a man from a humble background with a proven record of leadership, offered a chance for peace and a fresh start. The Senate, the Roman government, agreed that Vespasian should be emperor. His rule brought an end to the year of chaos. Rome and the whole empire could finally start to recover. Vespasian becoming emperor wasn't just a win for him, it was a big turning point for Rome. His leadership started a new royal family, the Flavian dynasty, which brought a time of peace and prosperity. The Year of the Four Emperors had pushed Rome to its limits, but it also showed how tough its people were and how strong its government could be. With Vespasian in charge, a new era began, one that would bring back Rome's glory and stability. The battles had created a strong leader, and with Vespasian at the helm, Rome could look forward to a brighter future.